Across the open savanna, the lion moves as a focused and controlled presence. Every advance blends physical power, coordination, and careful choice of target. These moments reveal that its success is shaped by planning rather than chance. Precision and timing remain at the core of each encounter. On the African savanna, the lion is considered one of the most impressive land predators. A mature male lion can weigh between 350 and 500 pounds, with powerful shoulders to control large prey. Its forelimbs generate immense force, and a single swing can break thick bones. Short bursts of speed allow it to reach nearly 35 miles per hour over short distances, but endurance isn't its main advantage. The lion's true strength lies in its control and strategic positioning. It closes the distance before unleashing its full power, often getting within 30 feet before accelerating. The muscular structure of its chest and neck helps it grip prey heavier than itself. When hunting in groups, coordination multiplies strength, turning multiple individuals into a unified force. However, sheer strength alone doesn't guarantee success. Even a 400-pound predator must weigh the risks, as a minor injury can be life-threatening. On the open grasslands, every confrontation is a test of timing, precision, and restraint. The lion's dominance doesn't come from constant violence, but from calculated force used at the decisive moment. Unlike many other prey animals, zebras rely on both strength and collective vigilance for survival. A mature individual can weigh between 500 and 900 pounds, with strong legs and a powerful kick capable of self-defense when necessary. They move in herds to form a continuous observation network, and even a small change in behavior can send a warning signal in seconds. A lioness lies low in the bushes, watching an individual moving slower than the rest. She doesn't rush to act, waiting until the distance is less than 30 feet. When the right moment arrives, she accelerates with a short, precise movement. The zebra reacts quickly, turning and trying to maintain a safe distance, but the terrain isn't wide enough to sustain its speed advantage. The lioness closes in and maintains a stable position, gradually reducing the prey's agility. After a few tense seconds, the situation was resolved. Other members of the lion pride then appeared to join in accessing the food source. This development shows that even though zebras possess good stamina and reflexes, a single moment of separation from the herd can change the course of events. On the vast grasslands, continuous synchronization remains the key to long-term safety. Tall and composed, adult giraffes can be over 16 feet tall and weigh between 1,800 and 2,600 pounds. Their long legs not only allow for sustained movement, but also provide a powerful reaction force when defending themselves. With superior vision on the open grasslands, they are rarely caught completely by surprise. A pride of lions silently positions themselves around an adult. They maintain distance, observing every move and waiting for the right moment. The giraffe constantly turns, maintaining a steady pace and not leaving any gaps exposed for too long. When a lioness attempts to approach closer, the giraffe immediately reacts with a powerful kick from its hind legs. The force of the counterkick forces the predator to retreat, disrupting the encirclement. After a few tense minutes, the lions slowly retreat, and the prey maintains a safe distance. Approximately 85% of lion hunts are unsuccessful, especially when facing large and highly alert prey. Giraffes demonstrate that height, stamina, and precise reflexes can provide a decisive advantage. On the savanna, even pack hunting doesn't guarantee success when the risks outweigh the benefits. A single 550-pound individual can provide energy for an entire pride of lions for days. This development shows that even though wildebeest possess intelligent migration strategies and considerable endurance, a small deviation in the collective structure can create an opportunity. On the vast savanna, survival depends more on collective rhythm than on the strength of individual animals. When a buffalo inadvertently slows down and becomes separated from the herd, that protective structure is compromised. A group of lions observes from a safe distance, moving slowly and maintaining a coordinated formation. They don't act immediately, patiently waiting for the individual's reaction. The buffalo turns to face them and tries to maintain its balance, but the coordinated efforts of multiple predators gradually narrow the space for movement. After a tense period, the advantage shifts to the lion pride. The outcome is decided, and crucial energy is secured. A single individual weighing nearly a ton can sustain an entire pack for days. This illustrates that when faced with large prey, collective strategy determines success. In the savanna, even a moment of separation from the pack can alter the balance of survival. Beneath the dry grass and dense thorny bushes, warthogs are a species that always keeps a safe distance from danger. An adult weighs between 150 and 250 pounds, possesses thick skin, and long, curved tusks that can inflict significant injury. They often forage near the mouth of their burrows, so they can quickly dive in for cover, and this habit makes approaching them incredibly challenging. A lioness begins her hunt in silence. She stalks her prey for hours, moving low to the ground and using bushes about 3 feet tall to conceal her body. When the distance is reduced to less than 40 feet, the silence ends and the chase erupts abruptly. The warthog accelerates toward the burrow, but the lioness has closed the distance close enough to subdue it. The prey is nearly the same size as the hunter, making holding and dragging it a difficult task. After a short but tense standoff, the lion prevailed. This hunt wasn't just about brute strength. It required hours of patience, precise stalking skills, and sufficient stamina to control a heavy target. In nature, victory often belongs to the individual who waits the longest and acts at the decisive moment. Unlike many other herbivores, wildebeest survives thanks to their disciplined migration and ability to maintain a stable formation over distances of hundreds of miles each year. An adult weighs around 550 pounds, enough to cross arid grasslands in temperatures exceeding 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Their intelligence lies in maintaining a reasonable distance and reacting in unison upon detecting unusual movement. At the edge of the migration route, a lioness lowers her body in the yellow grass and observes the rhythm of the herd. She doesn't choose the strongest individual, but rather looks for a small deviation in the formation. When an individual slows down for a split second and the distance drops below 30 feet, the acceleration is quick and precise. The wildebeest immediately changes direction to return to the center of the herd, but the rough terrain slows its momentum. The lioness approaches closer and maintains her position until the prey gradually loses its balance. After a few tense minutes, the situation was decided. A single 550-pound individual can provide energy for an entire pride of lions for days. This development shows that even though wildebeest possess intelligent migration strategies and considerable endurance, a small deviation in the collective structure can create an opportunity. On the vast savanna, survival depends more on collective rhythm than on the strength of individual animals. Agile and precise, cheetahs are the fastest land animals, capable of reaching speeds of nearly 60 to 70 miles per hour over short distances under 1,500 feet. Their slender bodies and flexible spines allow them to change direction quickly, while their sharp eyesight enables them to detect movement from a distance. However, this speed is only maximized when the animal is in perfect health. On a hot afternoon, a cheetah with a hind leg injury moved slower than usual. A male lion noticed this weakness and approached with steady strides. When another male lion appeared nearby, the atmosphere turned tense with territorial competition. The cheetah tried to maintain distance, but the injury reduced its acceleration. The two lions narrowed the space and cornered their smaller opponent. After a short time, the situation was decided, and the advantage belonged to the lions. This encounter demonstrates that speed isn't always a guarantee of safety, especially when the body is weakened. Lions often eliminate competitors to reduce pressure on food resources in the area. On the savanna, order among big cats is maintained by strength, timing, and territorial control. In every encounter, the lion shows that power is guided as much by judgment as by strength. From lighter targets to massive opponents, its approach shifts with the situation. Each move is shaped by timing, awareness, and control. On the savanna, Lasting dominance comes from precision in every decision. In the vast grasslands where predators usually hold the upper hand, the order is sometimes reversed. Horns, seemingly for defense, can become weapons that force predators to hesitate. Each encounter is a tense moment, where the line between attack and defeat is very thin. And in those decisive seconds, the prey is no longer just a target, but a real adversary. On the vast open field, where the elephant herd moves slowly, the mother elephant always keeps her calf in the center. Her long tusks point forward, her large body forming a living wall shielding against all approaches. Upon sensing the presence of lions at the edge of the field, the group immediately tightens its formation. This close-knit arrangement quickly becomes a challenge for the predator. A group of lions moves in an arc formation, trying to separate the calf from its mother. They don't chase, but only move in small steps to cover any escape routes. However, the distance between mother and calf remains constant. The mother elephant constantly turns, keeping her tusks pointed directly at the threat. When a lion tries to get closer, the mother elephant lowers her head and steps forcefully forward. The thrust from her large body forces the lion to dodge immediately. Unable to find a safe opening to attack, the lions gradually slow down and retreat. The hunt ended without any young animals being separated from the pack. Many hunts begin with separating prey from the group. But when cohesion is maintained absolutely, the predator's chances are almost zero. In nature, collective strength is sometimes an insurmountable boundary. Near the edge of the pasture where the buffalo herd was protecting its newborn calf, the mother buffalo always held the front position, with her thick, curved horns like a living shield. The calf was weak, slow-moving, and easily targeted. When a leopard silently appeared at the edge of the bushes, the tranquility began to waver. The leopard lunged out unexpectedly, aiming straight for the nearest calf. But the mother buffalo reacted almost instantly, lowering her head and charging forward with a powerful goring. Her sharp horns swept across, forcing the leopard to change direction and retreat into the bushes. Undeterred, she tried to approach another calf, but the entire herd closed in and counterattacked even more fiercely. The confrontation ended when the leopard was forced to retreat. In its escape, its hind leg was severely injured by the goring from behind. Movement became difficult, and for a lone predator, a leg injury could mean long days without hunting. Sometimes hunger forces predators to take risks, but the price to pay can be enormous. In the low grass where the wildebeest herd moves slowly, each individual maintains a safe distance to observe their surroundings. Wildebeest are often considered typical prey for lions, but they are not entirely passive. Their curved, outward-pointing horns, seemingly for defense, can actually be effective weapons when used correctly. And when a lioness approaches, the challenge begins. The lioness approaches with low, steady steps, then suddenly accelerates when close enough. The charge forces the herd to scatter in an instant. However, the targeted individual doesn't flee immediately. It turns its head at the right angle, lowers its horns, and counterattacks with powerful, sweeping, sideways thrusts. These collisions force the lioness to pause to avoid serious injury. The wildebeest's horns, when swung in the right direction, generate enough force to deter the predator. After a few tense moments, the lion is forced to retreat. The wildebeest quickly creates distance and rejoins the herd. The confrontation ends without either prey being killed. Even species often considered docile are capable of fighting to protect their lives. In nature, survival instincts sometimes turn prey into formidable opponents. In the dry land near the swamps, African buffaloes stand in groups, their massive bodies and horns forming a sturdy shield in front of their foreheads. An adult can weigh over 1,500 pounds, possessing enough force to jolt a predator. When separated from the herd, it becomes the target of a pride of lions silently encircling it, and the encounter quickly becomes fierce. The lions simultaneously charge from multiple directions, trying to dislodge the buffalo. The struggle is intense and prolonged. While being held tightly, the buffalo suddenly turns and delivers a powerful headbutt. One lion is struck and thrown to the ground, forced to retreat in pain. However, the collective pressure ultimately weakens the buffalo. The lions bring down their prey after several tense minutes. But one individual in the group suffers serious injury from the final counterattack. Victory doesn't come without a price. The hunt ended with the prey subdued, but the lesson was clear. Even when restrained, a buffalo can still deliver a dangerous counterattack. In nature, a predator may win, but it is never completely safe from the sharp horns of its opponent. In the dry land where a mother rhino walks slowly beside her calf, her thick skin and large horn always pointing forward as a warning. The calf occasionally retreats close to its mother's body when sensing unusual movement from afar. A group of lions observe from a safe distance, waiting for the opportune moment when the young one separates from the protective circle. When a lion approaches closer, the calf instinctively recoils. The mother rhino immediately turns to locate the threat. She lowers her head and lunges straight forward with a powerful thrust from her shoulder. The lion is forced to dodge to the side to avoid a direct collision. Just one accurate butt could cause broken bones or serious injury. Realizing the risk outweighs the benefit, the lions gradually retreat. The mother rhino continues to stand in front of her calf, not leaving her position until a clear distance is established. The hunt does not take place. In nature, there are limits that predators understand very well. When the danger is too great, their survival instinct makes them give up. And faced with the protective power of the mother rhinoceros over her offspring, the lion chose to retreat. In the open grassland, gazelles move silently but always alert, their slender, sharp horns pointing forward. They are renowned for their ability to change direction quickly to escape predators. However, when a cheetah appears in the distance and begins to accelerate, the safe space quickly shrinks. The cheetah charges forward at incredible speed and soon closes in on its prey. As it prepares to take it down, the gazelle suddenly lowers its head and rams directly into the predator's belly. The impact forces the cheetah to a halt. The gazelle counterattacks a few more times before creating distance. The cheetah is injured in the abdomen and unable to continue the hunt. For a predator that relies entirely on speed, injury can be more dangerous than hunger. It is forced to stop and let its prey escape. In nature, a desperate prey can still inflict significant damage on its predator. On the dry, windy sands, the oryx stood firm with its long, straight, spear-sharp horns. Unlike many other antelopes, the oryx tended to confront danger directly rather than flee immediately. When a lion silently approached from behind, the distance between predator and prey quickly narrowed. The lion suddenly leaped onto the prey's back, trying to grip and disorient it. But the oryx did not panic. It lowered its head and swept its long horns backward, directly attacking the aggressor. These precise sweeps forced the lion to dodge and reduce the pressure of its attack. The struggle lasted only a short time. When it could no longer maintain a safe position, the lion was forced to jump to avoid serious injury. The oryx took advantage of that moment to create distance and maintain a defensive stance. The hunt ended without either prey being killed. Unexpected counterattacks from prey can disrupt the predator's entire strategy. In harsh environments, long horns are not only a defensive tool, but also a crucial element for survival. On the vast and harsh savannas, wild dogs don't rely on size to survive. They rely on pack structure, endurance, and the ability to read their surroundings. Each recorded chase is not just an action, but a meticulously planned strategy. In nature, precise coordination can transform small individuals into a formidable force. On the vast savannas of Africa, the African wild dog is considered one of the most effective predators in nature. An adult typically weighs between 40 and 70 pounds, with long legs built for long-distance travel rather than short bursts of speed. Their bodies are lean, but each muscle group is well developed for endurance. Wild dogs can maintain speeds of nearly 35 miles per hour over long distances, often traveling many miles in an organized pursuit. Unlike larger predators that rely on explosive strength, wild dogs depend on stamina and precision. Their large, round ears enhance their ability to perceive, constantly tracking movement and sounds across the grasslands. Their true strength lies not in their size, but in their cohesion. A pack can consist of 6 to 20 individuals, each moving towards a common goal. In nature, coordination transforms moderate strength into outstanding effectiveness. Amidst the low trees and thick bushes, the leopard moves silently, always relying on its solitary hunting instincts and quick reflexes to maintain control of the area. When at a disadvantage, it can climb a tree in seconds to create a safe distance. Its agility and constant observation help it maintain the advantage when facing only one opponent. But when the pack of wild dogs detects its presence early, the pace changes dramatically. Instead of charging, they silently disperse, small groups moving around to gradually narrow the space. The encirclement closes from multiple directions, forcing the leopard to constantly turn and observe. The increasing pressure forces the leopard to shift from an offensive to a defensive stance. When the ground is no longer safe, it chooses to climb a tree to escape the pressure below. The pack of wild dogs stops below, controlling the area and maintaining a steady rhythm. The encounter ends in a temporary stalemate. Multidirectional pressure can diminish the advantage of a lone predator. In nature, pack structures often create an advantage that individual speed struggles to sustain over time. On rocky outcrops and low-lying trees, baboons rely on their vigilance and climbing abilities to protect their troop. An adult can weigh between 30 and 90 pounds, always maintaining a vantage point as the group moves. Upon detecting danger, they quickly climb higher, forming a natural fortress in the trees. But this security is only truly secure when the entire troop maintains a tight formation. Wild dogs appear below, but don't approach immediately. They keep their distance and disperse to observe movement above. When a young individual strays from the protective circle and falls below ground level, the formation tightens immediately. Wild dogs act quickly and precisely, closing the gap in a very short time. The chase ends prematurely when the young individual doesn't have time to return to safety. Success doesn't come from direct force, but from choosing the right timing and maintaining a stable group structure. Amidst the vast dry grasslands, African buffalo stand out for their remarkably stable movement and navigation. An adult can weigh between 1,000 and over 1,500 pounds, often moving in large herds for mutual protection. They maintain a tight formation and adjust their course to the terrain. But this very structure sometimes leaves gaps at the rear. From a distance, packs of wild dogs begin to track and observe the herd's movements. They are not in a hurry. When a young buffalo falls behind, the formation immediately shifts. Individuals separate, encircling gently and gradually closing the gap. Some adult buffalo turn back to counterattack and protect the young. However, the wild dogs maintain a stable formation and apply pressure from multiple directions. This continuous coordination causes the buffalo herd to gradually retreat, leaving the young buffalo separated from the main group. The chase ended when patience and the group structure provided a clear advantage. Success didn't come from a direct attack, but from the ability to maintain pace and coordinate precisely. In nature, collective strength can change the course of events for species many times larger. On the vast, open savanna, the lion displays its territorial instincts and proud, muscular strength. Its sturdy body and firm stance allow it to control the space simply by its presence. Lions don't often view wild dogs as prey. Most encounters revolve around defending boundaries. When the roar echoes, the pack of wild dogs immediately halts. They don't advance further but analyze the tracks, check the wind direction, and adjust their formation. The atmosphere is tense, but both sides maintain the necessary distance. The lion slowly advances to consolidate its territorial control. However, the wild dogs don't choose direct confrontation. After assessing the disparity in strength and position, they proactively retreat in an organized formation. No battle ensues, but the situation is clearly established. In nature, avoiding conflict at the right time is also a sign of wisdom. Strength lies not only in muscles, but also in deciding when to advance and when to retreat. In shallow riverine swamps, crocodiles rely entirely on their ambush instincts and ability to hide underwater. A mature individual can weigh from 500 to over 1,000 pounds, with a low body and strong jaws. Once in the water, it patiently observes and waits for a mistake from its opponent. The pack of wild dogs enters the muddy area with slow movements and a loose formation. Both sides observe and avoid hasty action. When the crocodile leaves the shallow water and moves on to softer land, the advantage begins to shift. On land, the crocodile's heavy body makes its movements slower. The wild dogs utilize speed and numbers to apply constant pressure from multiple directions. However, when the environment becomes unfavorable, the crocodile gradually retreats to its familiar water. The confrontation ends without a prolonged chase. Advantage in nature depends heavily on the surrounding environment. There are no absolute powerhouses, only species that understand where they belong. On the open grasslands, Impalas survive thanks to their vigilant instincts and highly coordinated pack behavior. Upon detecting unusual movement, they typically maintain their formation and adjust their course instead of panicking and splitting up. This initial calmness helps the pack find a safe space within the vast open area. When wild dogs appear, they don't immediately accelerate. The formation is organized, moving parallel and maintaining a stable distance. The pressure doesn't come from a sudden dash, but from gradually narrowing the space over time. Gradually, the impala's running rhythm becomes uncoordinated. When an individual is pushed toward shallow water, their acceleration significantly decreases and their escape route is limited. The pack of wild dogs immediately tightens its grip and completely dominates the area. The chase ends when the impala's defensive structure is no longer maintained. The outcome depends not solely on maximum speed. Maintaining pace and controlling space is crucial in prolonged confrontations. In the icy lands where life is fragile, polar bears are not only predators, but also symbols of extreme adaptation. Each appearance is a test of strength, strategy, and limits. Not every attack leads to victory. Sometimes it is the timely retreat that preserves survival. Amidst harsh conditions and change, every action of the bear is a choice for survival. Beluga whales are small whales with distinctive white skin and thick bodies, which help them adapt to frigid waters. Adults can grow up to 18 feet long and weigh over 3,000 pounds. They typically move in small pods, using the tides to navigate through narrow channels near the shore during the summer thaw. It is at this time that polar bears look for opportunities. Instead of plunging into deep water, they memorize the tidal cycle and ambush near shallow waters where beluga whales have difficulty maneuvering. When the whales surface with the current, the bear waits for the ideal moment to act. A sudden lunge from the ice edge, the bear's entire weight is concentrated on its target. If accurate, the beluga is unlikely to escape. But even a slight misstep will derail the attack. Polar bears don't hunt beluga whales frequently, but when conditions are right, they use their understanding of the environment to turn the terrain to their advantage. This is clear evidence that predatory instinct relies not only on strength, but also on a combination of observation, calculation, and timely decision-making. Walruses are among the largest and most cautious creatures in the Arctic. With their thick blubber, thick skin, and sharp tusks over 3 feet long, they are not easily harmed. Often moving in large herds, walruses rely on numbers for defense, rarely alone and even less so isolated. Polar bears don't act rashly. When they spot a walrus cub separated from its herd, they approach from a distance, avoiding the wind, and remain still, observing for hours. Each step is aimed at closing the distance without making a sound. When the opportunity arises, the bear attacks quickly and accurately. However, the adult walruses work together to repel the attack. The bear sustains some injuries and is forced to retreat. The next time, when faced with a solitary adult, the bear approaches cautiously. It observes the walrus's massive size and thick skin as a natural shield. After a few minutes of assessment, the bear decides to leave. Not all prey can be attacked. Sometimes retreating is not a failure, but a wise adaptation for survival in the frigid polar regions. The Greenland Arctic Hound is a breed of sled dog characteristic of the far north. Each dog weighs approximately 65 to 85 pounds and has a thick, double coat that provides cold resistance and high endurance. They retain their wild instincts despite living near humans, with a keen sense of smell and a loud bark to warn from a distance. When sensing a threat, the pack of dogs usually gathers in groups, barking loudly and constantly moving around to harass and pressure the bear. This is a defensive response, not intended to attack. However, without sufficient numbers or human intervention, the pack of dogs is unlikely to deter a bear. In some cases, bears silently approach the camp where the dogs are chained individually. When acting, a single swing of their paws with a force exceeding 100 pounds is enough to incapacitate an adult dog. Bears have a clear advantage in one-on-one confrontations. The outcome usually favors the bear. In the icy world, where every meal is a trade-off and every moment of survival is decisive, conflict between adult polar bears is not uncommon. As the ice melts early and food becomes scarce, competitive pressure intensifies. Especially during mating season, the atmosphere between males becomes more tense than ever. When they meet, two bears may stand face to face, circling to assess each other. A low growl echoes, their bodies, weighing over 1,200 pounds, tense up to display their strength. If neither gives way, a fight can erupt. Claws are unleashed, powerful bites aimed at the shoulders and neck. Rarely resulting in fatalities, the consequences are visible wounds and exhaustion after a prolonged confrontation. Ultimately, the victor gains control of territory or access to a mate. The loser retreats in silence. The absence of animosity is simply a rule of survival in a harsh environment, where every animal must prove its worth to exist. Gray wolves, averaging 80 to 90 kilograms each, are highly organized pack predators. Packs can consist of dozens of individuals, working closely together to corner prey. Their tenacity and covering tactics make it impossible for even larger creatures to lower their guard, especially when separated from the pack or carrying their young. One quiet morning, a mother bear and her cub were surrounded. The mother bear immediately shielded them, driving away the nearest wolf. But the encirclement tightened, with individual wolves silently closing in from multiple directions. The mother bear retreated, constantly observing. When she had no other choice, she suddenly jumped into the icy water, dragging her cub with her to avoid complete isolation. This risky choice didn't stem from weakness, but from an instinct to protect her offspring. In a world where numbers can overwhelm individual strength, understanding limits and knowing when to retreat is also a form of strength, where maternal instinct guides survival decisions. Seals are familiar inhabitants of the Arctic ice floes. With their thick layer of blubber, agile swimming ability, and fast diving speed, they are considered one of the most difficult prey to approach there. But the seal's survival depends on tiny breathing holes, gaps in the ice to breathe, which become a constant weakness in the icy wilderness. Polar bears, the largest land predators, don't act recklessly. Instead of relying on sudden speed, they choose a strategy of patience, lying still by the breathing holes for hours, even days. The The bear observes every slightest movement and vibration, calculating the moment to attack without making any noise. Initially, it tried a direct approach but failed. The seal escaped in an instant. From that failure, the bear changed tactics. The next time, it approached from behind, completely silently. When the ice surface trembles slightly, signaling the seal's emergence, the polar bear launches its entire body, weighing over 1,000 pounds, precisely into the spot. The unexpected and accurate strike leaves the prey no time to react. The success rate is only about 1 in 20, but it is patience, the ability to learn and adapt, that allows polar bears to maintain their role as a top hunter in the extreme cold. Each ambush is a challenge, where instinct and strategy intertwine to reclaim every moment of survival. When spring ice melts earlier than usual, an irreversible chain of changes begins. For polar bears, this means losing their ideal launching pad for hunting seals, a source of fat and energy essential for survival. Without the breathing holes in the ice, without their familiar ambush positions, bears are forced to look beyond the frigid seas for alternative sources of nutrition. In some coastal areas of Alaska, bears turn to seabird eggs such as those of gulls or terns, or nests on low cliffs along the shore. These are low-energy food sources, but readily accessible during the short periods when the birds are concentrating on breeding. The eggs cannot replace seal fat, but they provide a temporary buffer, allowing bears to survive through the difficult months. Notably, climbing cliffs or rummaging through nests has never been common behavior for polar bears. This demonstrates the ability to adapt behavior to circumstances, a form of survival adaptation. Although unable to sustain their enormous weight solely on eggs and vegetation, bears still find ways to maximize the benefits of what nature leaves behind. As the ice melts, instinct forces them to change not out of choice, but for survival. From a height where every movement below is visible, the eagle prepares for attacks that leave the ground no time to react. Each dive is a combination of superior eyesight, gravity, and precise decision-making in a matter of seconds. The footage captures not only the ferocity of the attack, but also the inherent risk of miscalculation. In the wild, the difference between the ruler of the skies and a sudden defeat is just a split second. On a steep, rocky mountainside, the adult goat stands firm, its survival instincts honed by the treacherous terrain. Its hooves grip the rocks firmly, and its reflexes for maintaining balance help it adapt to the dangerous slope. This stability creates a natural defense that not every predator anticipates. The eagle swoops down and latches onto its prey's back, but quickly realizes its mistake in choosing the wrong adult. It lacks the strength to lift the goat off the ground. As the goat tumbles down the slope to escape, the eagle is pulled along, losing control and forced to quickly spread its wings to avoid a more severe impact. The attack ends with the eagle at a disadvantage. In that moment, the predator becomes a temporary victim of its own familiar clinging tactic. This is a clear limitation of power from a high vantage point. A wrong decision about the target can lead to serious consequences in just seconds. Amidst the snow-covered field, the fox moved with hunting instincts honed over many winters. Its ears subtly perked up to catch the slightest sound beneath the thin layer of ice. Though the snow slowed its speed and left clear tracks, it persevered, focused on its target, unaware it was being watched. Above, an eagle locked onto the movement below with its superior eyesight. It narrowed its circle, folded its wings to reduce air resistance, and began to dive. Its body accelerated steadily, heading straight towards the fox, clearly visible against the empty snow. As its large shadow swept across the ground, the fox immediately changed direction and zigzagged to avoid it. But in the open space, the advantage gradually narrowed. The eagle's talons grazed its target, forcing the fox to roll to the side to avoid the dangerous pounce. The distance finally widened as the eagle spread its wings, regained altitude, and ceased its pursuit. The fox stood still, breathing heavily amidst the cold snow. In this open environment, a small misstep could cost a life. Survival sometimes depended on the right reflexes in a very brief moment. In the open forest, the young deer moved instinctively, driven by the inherent vigilance of a herbivore. It constantly raised its head, listened, and was ready to flee at the first sign of danger. But being young and separated from its mother for even a moment, its survival reflexes were sometimes insufficient to counter the threat from above. The eagle suddenly swooped down and clung tightly to the fawn's back. The deer kicked and struggled instinctively, trying to shake off its attacker. However, the talons held on tightly, applying constant pressure, giving the prey no chance to escape. It wasn't the first swoop that determined the outcome, but the persistent hold that followed. As its strength gradually diminished, the fawn no longer had the power to resist effectively. The hunt ended with the eagle's victory, demonstrating the strategy of holding on until exhaustion rather than a swift attack. In nature, the decisive moment usually comes when the prey is exhausted, not when the attack begins. High in the canopy, The monkey survives thanks to its agility and constant observation. It moves swiftly between branches, always choosing positions with many handholds to prepare for escape. However, when separated from the group and stopping in a narrow space, that safety becomes fragile. The eagle appears from behind the foliage and swoops down almost without a chase. The approach is so quick that the monkey doesn't have time to change branches or lower its body. Its talons lock on in a single reflex, ending any chance of escape before it can grab onto another handhold. After taking down its prey, the eagle struggles to carry its heavy weight in mid-air. It is forced to lower its altitude and drag the prey to a more secure position to gain complete control. Success comes from absolute surprise, but the post-hunting phase clearly reveals the physical limitations of the predator. In nature, victory lies not only in the moment of attack, but also in the ability to maintain control afterward. The element of surprise creates opportunities, but endurance is what determines the end of the hunt. Sliding through the dry grass, the snake hunts silently, sensing even the slightest vibrations beneath the ground. It doesn't move much, only raising its head when necessary and keeping its body ready to react. This very instinct of patience makes any approaching predator wary. The eagle lowered its altitude and attempted a dive, but failed to lock onto the snake's head the first time. The snake immediately raised its head, coiled itself in a defensive position, and delivered a quick bite, forcing the eagle to retreat. After a few rounds of reassessing the risk, the eagle adjusted its approach angle, swooped down more precisely, and tightened its grip on the snake's body in an instant. The struggle ended quickly when the snake could no longer maintain its defensive position. The eagle gained control of its prey and lifted its wings off the ground. This wasn't just a test of strength, but a battle of wits about distance and timing. In nature, victory belongs to the one who knows how to adjust its tactics at the decisive moment. On the wide, cold lake, the goose maintained its survival instincts with constant vigilance. It swam close to the surface, always ready to dive at the first sign of a shadow gliding overhead. Its ability to dive quickly in an instant extended its chances of survival, especially when the opponent came from the sky. The eagle swooped down repeatedly, each dive costing it more energy. The goose dived just before its talons reached its target, forcing the eagle to spread its wings to regain altitude and continue its circling. The battle became a test of stamina and patience, as both waited for the other to make the slightest mistake. Finally, during a slower than usual ascent, the goose left a brief gap. The eagle seized the moment, locked onto its prey, and ended the chase. This victory didn't come from superior speed, but from persistence and fewer mistakes in each subsequent attack. In nature, patience is sometimes the sharpest weapon. On the open ground, the wolf moves with hunting instincts honed through many harsh seasons. It is accustomed to relying on its sense of smell and pack coordination to control the situation. But when separated from its pack and running alone, all senses must take responsibility. From above, the eagle detects this belated movement. It swoops down with great speed, creating an element of absolute surprise before the wolf can fully react. Its talons lock onto the wolf's back and shoulders, immobilizing the prey for a moment, leaving the wolf only able to bite and shake instinctively for survival, but unable to attack upwards. Controlled from a higher position, the wolf gradually loses control of the situation. The eagle maintains a safe distance from its sharp teeth and maintains a steady grip. This success does not come from a difference in strength, but from the element of surprise and the position of attack. In nature, the advantage usually lies with the one who gains the upper hand and the decisive moment. In the open prairie, the rabbit relies on its survival instincts, speed and sudden changes of direction. It's accustomed to zigzagging to disrupt the predator's attack rhythm. Sensing pressure from above, its hind legs are ready to spring forcefully off the ground. The eagle locks onto its target and swoops down with precise trajectory. The rabbit unexpectedly leaps high, disrupting the approach time and causing the first pounce to miss by a hair's breadth. But the eagle quickly regains its altitude, adjusts its angle, and takes advantage of the moment the rabbit lands to launch a second attack. This time its talons tighten before the rabbit can change direction again. The chase ends quickly, as the element of surprise combines with precise calculation. This is a battle of reflexes and tactics, where victory belongs to the one who better controls the pace. In nature, even a small misstep in timing can determine the entire outcome. From snow-covered fields to towering forest canopies, every eagle's attack is a test of timing and limits. Not every dive is perfect, and not every prey is easily subdued. Footage shows that true strength lies in the ability to adapt after every small misstep. In the world of the sky and the earth, survival always belongs to the one who controls the decisive moment.